Saurya Urja Vibhushan Awards, the award for individual excellence, people who have worked for a decade or so and minimum for the solar sector. When it was not moving, they have stood with it, So the first one is Shri K.S. Popli. K.S. Popli ji wins the Saurya Urja Vibhushan Award, and that is for his excellent work at IREDA and for leading renewable energy in the country. May I request again Tarun Kapoor ji and team, and including Shri Ravi Kumar ji, to please felicitate them. Is one of the finest awards, and I am very happy announcing this award. It is the award for Power Person of the Decade in Renewable Energy. And my friend, please give a very standing ovation to K.S. Popli, the Chairman and Managing Director of IREDA, Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency. Please give a big hand. Welcome to this very exclusive episode of ENFRA show on the ENFRA TV, and my name is Professor A.G. Iyer. I'm the editor and publisher of ENERTIA and also the president of the Renewable Energy Promotion Association. And with me today we have a very, very special guest from the country's renewable energy sector, and this is none other than K.S. Popli, Chairman and Managing Director of IREDA, the Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency. Welcome, Popli Saab, to this exclusive show.
Thank you, Professor Iyer.
And today we are going to discuss very, very important issue, and quickly I go on to the first one. Sir, the renewable energy sector today is seeing a revolution of sorts. Government has already decided that in the solar side, they will put up a 100 gigawatt capacity by 2022. Now, in this context, how the renewable purchase obligations come into picture? Because that is the fundamental aspect of ensuring that we really grow. Because without obligation, investors will not be interested in the sector. So, how do you want to address this issue? Because right now the obligation, it seems, are not being met.
Obligations are not being met because regulators feel if the utility is making a loss, they are not able to collect their revenues, and at the end of the day they don't want to force them to buy renewable energy certificates. But if you look at what impact will it have, on back of envelope calculation I have done, if you have a 10% non-solar obligation and 5% solar obligations, the total impact on tariff would be only 4%.
Okay, that's very interesting, sir. See, I'm just interjecting. So this 4% is not very large, because you have the capacity to bundle the power, with the conventional power.
So I think, all regulators need to understand. This needs to be made mandatory.
Yeah, because see, one of the things that is coming up when in our research at ENERTIA is that what happened in Chhattisgarh, in state like, see, per annum 860 crores worth of renewable energy obligations were actually defrayed in the sense that the regulator gave such tariffs to the DISCOM, but the DISCOM ended up not purchasing them, and every time it went to the tribunal just did not even wrap, it just observed that this was wrong and that the collection was done, and then they just left the utility away, and they did not even fulfill the obligations the last continuously 4 years. And research says throughout the country this is the same scene. I barely see any state other than Punjab actually and Chhattisgarh today acting on the renewable, because it seems that the same principle, unless there is a very strong obligation from your central organization like IREDA and MNRE, I don't think in this country without a policy construct we will have renewables. What do you feel, sir?
They are already putting it up in their renewable energy policy, and the penalties are going to be made much larger and more stringent. Sir, and I am sure in time to come we will see much more compliance of
Sir,
RP
but I
obligations.
agree with you, sir, but there is a consumer issue here. The consumer paid for that. The regulator gave a tariff at a higher level.
Right.
If these people have collected 860 crores even in a small state like Chhattisgarh, and if we compare that to the entire country, if you take 20 states and 1000 crores per annum, you are talking of 20,000 crores worth of renewable purchase obligation tariff being imposed on the consumer in this country for 4 years. That means you are talking of a massive 1 lakh crore worth of collection.
No, maybe
That's
this,
the type of thing for the last 4 years, if you consider.
This might have happened maybe in one state or 1 or 2 states, may not be.
Sir, because almost
yeah.
all the states are not fulfilling the obligation. Let me
Okay,
tell you that
yeah.
cases have been forwarded only in 1 or 2 states, because there the agency fought. For example, I will tell you, CREDA was fighting for this case. So luckily we know this case because of CREDA. And in Punjab, the regulator himself supported this entire thing, and I think there is a court case going on because the DISCOMs literally ended up cheating the consumer, because and Punjab has taken note of this. So I mean to say, only these 2 states thankfully have acted. Their nodal agency have acted in bringing the people to the books, at least on the paper. Of course, they have not been penalized, but they have been brought on the books, and we should thank Chhattisgarh and Punjab for doing this. Rest of the states have not shown any kind of, I would say, any kind of method of bringing people to the books. What do you say about this? Why IREDA is such a powerful body, sir? We should ensure that at your side we should conduct this research, and we should go forward on this.
This is very important thing that you have raised, and once this has come to light, I think we will also try to work out. We will put an agency to see how many states have done such a thing, and then
I think, sir, CREDA's experience
yes.
of going to the tribunal must be taken into account.
Okay.
Sir, CREDA is a wonderful agency,
Right.
and in fact, if you talk to the people in CREDA and the CEO there, Mr. Shukla, I think we can involve people who are experts like him, who understand how to implement this and what are the bottlenecks.
Right.
I think probably with people like you at the helm of the affairs, today is the time we can build this obligation in reality. Solar, then we can go to wind and others, and bioenergy, and I think we can really give renewable to this country in a bundled fashion.
Very right. I fully agree with you.
Right, sir. So it's wonderful, sir. And see, one of the successes, sir, I want to discuss here is solar.
Yeah.
We're coming back to that 100 gigawatts, sir. So what could be the roadmap, sir? Now this is almost like 5 times the mission that we earlier planned. This is really challenging now.
See, what has been planned is that 40,000 will come from rooftop.
Great, sir.
40,000 rooftop will be residential, commercial and industrial households.
Right.
20,000 they are planning that this will be given to unemployed youth, putting 1 megawatt each in places near the substations.
Right.
So that will leave you with 40,000 megawatt of target. 40,000 megawatt, out of that 20,000 is going to come from solar parks. Each solar park will have a capacity of 500 to 1,500 megawatt.
Right.
So around 20,000 is expected from these solar parks. So solar parks development will be taken up by Solar Energy Corporation in association with state agencies, or states alone can do that, and then back to back PPAs would be signed for the developers. So conversion of land, evacuation issues will be taken care of. So I think this way the planning is so far right, and evacuation for renewables is also being developed. You must have heard about
transmission bottleneck has to be
transmission bottleneck. So these are the 2 major bottlenecks, transmission and RP obligation. On both the government is working very seriously, and considering these high targets, work is already on. Planning has started. People understand where the issues are, and once the land allocation happens, the planning for evacuation would also start. And if these 2 problems are tackled, once you have a power purchase agreement, because RP obligations are to be met, I think these targets would be achievable, because your gestation period is small in solar and wind projects. So I think, and these are targets which are worth striving for. I think our country needs it. Globally this is required.
Absolutely.
So
sir, do you see there is a timeline, like we can see after this 100 gigawatt announcement, will we see quick movement in some kind of capacity? I would say not exactly build up, but at least the capacity movement, I would say, in the next 6 months?
I think so, because the tendering process would start for 3,000 by probably NTPC, 2,000 by NVVN, and another 1 to 2,000 by Solar Energy Corporation. So, there is a clear visibility of 5 to 6,000 megawatt.
Right.
Plus, a solar park is getting developed in Andhra, for which I think land allocation, the progress is definitely in advanced stage. So, we see that the things would start moving within next 6 months.
Right. Sir, one of the best ideas I tell you for avoiding land bank issues is even urban sector like Delhi, Mumbai itself, and if we add Kolkata and I would say Bangalore, such cities.
Right.
The rooftop capability of the city itself is 3,000 megawatt average. In fact, Mumbai is 3,000 megawatt, Delhi is 2,500 megawatt, Calcutta would be another 2,500 megawatt, and I am sure Bangalore. So, if we have this ABC analysis of cities, I think we will easily get about 20,000 megawatt worth of capacity in the urban rooftop.
Right.
So, and this just needs a proper policy construct of basically integrating it with the grid, because standalone will not work, because grid integrated buildings will be the game.
Right.
So, why immediately a policy is not coming on this direction?
See,
because this entire 100 gigawatt can be taken away by cities, about 25% of this will be taken away straight away by cities.
See, initially, I mean, these things start very slowly. I think now 8 to 10 states have come out with net metering policies. And once people see success of some of the residential premises where the solar panels are put up, and they see the benefit, I think the residential consumer would go for it. Similarly, for industrial and commercial consumers, it is at present also very viable when they are paying more than 7 to 8 rupees, and the cost for solar rooftop is around 7
we pay about 9 rupees at the residence,
and there is some
9 rupees for the high end.
Very right. And I understand there is some reluctance on the part of utilities in not allowing this, because they will lose their
but that's
paying
a
customer.
misnomer.
Yeah,
That's
that is a misnomer.
In fact, in India today, the research at ENERTIA is very different. Peak, I would say, shortfall is 100 gigawatt. Obviously, this is also very less, because if you see India has 250 gigawatt of installed, and 100 gigawatt when we say installed capacity shortfall we have. We are just talking nominal, because our neighbor China for 1.4 billion people is producing about 1200 gigawatt of electricity.
Right.
So, where is the comparison? So, I think the utilities and these people have to be, I think somewhere down the line, the policy maker, I would say, typically I would say MNRE, IREDA, must push, because you are going to push for investments. And I don't think any investor would be interested unless we open this market through a RPO. Because the purchase obligation needs a portfolio obligation, in my opinion. So, I would say RPOO, let's build a portfolio obligation parallelly.
You are very right. I mean, the work is on this. The policy initiatives are already taken on this, and I am sure once the targets are approved by cabinet, I think the real action would start.
Yeah, but I think I have not seen, sir, any proper movement. RPOs we are talking, but we are not talking of portfolio obligation as well parallelly. Only NTPC has been forced to do the portfolio obligation, and that too because we raised an issue on auxiliary consumption. 7% was thermal auxiliary consumption. And this was our view at ENERTIA and REPA was taken up by NTPC. And I think during DKGen's time, the 2% obligation came in, now it goes to 5%.
5% renewable generation obligations will be 5% for the projects that they are going to put in future, not for the projects that have already been put.
Right, but I am saying even for already the projects are there, we can do, because land bank is available. The plants are older, they are guzzling more, I would say, coal, and they are producing more carbon. And this can be done.
Yes, you are very right. As the acceptance grows for this, I think the obligations would also,
because at least the 7% auxiliary consumption is the minimal obligation that they can meet. And why we are only imposing on NTPC? I think we should impose across to all thermal power plants in the country.
No, this is being considered in the policy.
Lovely,
so
sir.
I think this will be done.
So I think, Popli sir, for this segment, we have tackled the renewable purchase obligation, and I would like to come back with you on the next segment on talking on the other areas of wind and hydro and other issues of the renewable energy. Solar, definitely we are on the track, and I congratulate you and your team and also the MNRE for doing this. But I think in just 1 minute we come back and discuss the rest of the issues related to the renewable energy and also growth of renewable energy in this country to get 25% renewable in our portfolio by 2022. Don't go back. We are with K.S. Popli, Chairman and Managing Director, IREDA, on this ENFRA show. Our Sauri Urja Vibhushan Award, the award for individual excellent people who have worked for a decade or so, and
minimum for the solar sector. When it was not moving, they have stood with it. So first one is Shri Popli. Popli ji wins the Solar Vision Award, and that is for his excellent work at IREDA and for leading renewable energy in the country. May I request again Tarun Kapoor ji and team, and including Shri Ravi Kumar ji, please felicitate them. Is one of the finest awards, and I am very happy announcing this award. It is the award for Power Person of the Decade in Renewable Energy. And my friend, please give a very standing ovation to Popli, the Chairman and Managing Director of IREDA, Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency. Please give a big hand.
Welcome back to this very special episode of the ENFRA show. I'm Professor Iyer, editor and publisher of ENERTIA, and with me is none other than Popli, Chairman Managing Director of IREDA. And we were discussing just in the other half on the renewable purchase obligation. And I continue, Popli sir, what happens to the wind energy here? One is the obligation, but on the other side, capacity build up on wind and the potential of the wind offshores.
See, wind energy at present is almost 68% in our total portfolio.
Right.
22,000 megawatt of wind is already harnessed.
Right.
The potential for wind in our country is already enhanced to 1 lakh megawatt from 45,000 megawatt. There are more than 20 companies which can have a manufacturing capacity of 10,000 megawatt for wind in our country.
Right.
Therefore, keeping all these factors in view and considering the fact that more than 3,000 megawatt was installed in 2011-12, and at present more than 2,500 megawatt is expected to be installed this year. The government has decided to enhance target for next 5 years to more than 40,000 megawatt.
That means 40 gigawatt over the next 5 years for wind energy. In addition to the 22 gigawatt we have.
Yes.
That means we will reach about 60 gigawatt
60
plus.
to 65 gigawatt we will reach in
2000.
next 2000 by 2019-20.
Okay, 1920, right.
And considering that the tariff difference in tariff for wind projects and conventional power is not very high, and this would have an impact of, even if there is a 5% non-solar obligation that is being met by a state, the impact on tariff would be only 1%.
Right. So that means now we are seeing a parity between wind and the rest of the energy, conventional. We are coming closer to the parity in the case of wind.
You can say that, though there is some difference, definitely. I mean, the cost of generation for thermal and cost of generation for wind, there is a difference, but still it is lower than what it is for solar.
Right.
There is.
I understand, but like for example, I want to play the devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
See, we have signed all those SASAN and all those and 1 rupee 20, 1 rupee 30 paisa. But
Right.
in reality, that is not the tariff. We are seeing that the tariff revision is being asked by those plants. 328 to 3 rupees 30 paisa is the old plant.
Right.
And these plants have already been taken the calculations of the past.
Right.
Now today anybody starts, at ENERTIA we did a research that if today anybody puts up a plant, he cannot have a thermal power tariff less than 5 rupees. That is what we have come
Yes,
to. And
yes,
then
yes.
even solar is 5 rupees 50 paisa. So in fact solar itself is coming to parity.
Right.
So where is the question of wind not having parity?
Wind we are getting a tariff between 5 rupees to 570, 580 is the tariff. So
obviously
you
both
can
wind
say
and
yes.
solar
the-
are almost close to the
Correct.
parity of
Very
a
right.
modern state of the power
Very
plant.
right. Very right.
And then I think it is, I'm just playing a little bit forward on that.
Yeah.
I think any wind or solar power plant comes on the grid in 1 year to 2 years time.
Yes.
Thermal power plants take 4 to 5 years at least to
Very
come
right.
to.
Very
So
right.
we are not even calculating the time to market and the quick generation that is coming and the generation that we will already have on the grid even before that thermal power plant comes onto grid. Why not load it onto the cost? Why not such calculations, arithmetics? Why not an NPV on this?
See, you are very right. The only thing is the nature of wind power is intermittent. Unless we start, we have storage, storage of energy is developed, and you have a smoother power available from wind projects. The utilities at present do not, they are not very keen to buy wind power once they have met their RP obligations, and this is going to change in coming years.
Yeah, but I always feel, if you see the wind versus solar, the wind and solar almost complement each other.
Very right.
There is a good hybridization because you see the wind capability throughout the day.
Right.
If you see when the sun goes down, the wind capability comes up. And actually there is this swinging, this pendulum can be easily used to fuel our cities and also our village economy.
Very right.
So I don't see any scientific reason of not seeing such hybridization throughout the country, and probably build. I have now come to another angle, which we have not seen decentralized, which is biogas. This country has basically 1 billion cattle. When we have 1.2 billion people, we have 1 billion cattle. Now this country is not energizing the power of the cattle. The bovine waste, if you see bovines, then it will be even bigger.
Right.
So where is the bovine waste generation in this country? So massive capacity is lying idle, and what we are seeing decentralized off grid. But I am saying in off grid you can create smaller communities and help them. But why not think of grid integration of all this?
No, you are very right. I mean, you have 1 billion bovine.
Yes.
I think from cow dung alone,
yes,
total requirement of gas for rural households can be met.
And we met in toto.
Yes.
And then they complement. See the solar in the morning, we don't need storage.
Yes.
See, we are just discussing storage when storage technologies are still 5 to 7 years away from commercializing. So I feel before that,
with support of MNRE, last year some 10 to 20 demonstration projects were developed.
Right.
We are seeing how those projects are performing. There were some issues, some technical issues, some other issues. They are being looked into, and I am sure this will the development is bound to leapfrog in coming years.
I'll go one step further here, sir. Yeah. I have seen municipal corporations in Surat.
Right.
I think they already have 8 megawatt of this effluent treatment plant based biomethanization based generation.
Right.
So that basically it is not even effluent treatment, they use a sewage treatment plant, STP.
Right.
They do biomethanization of it and they are operating. The only problem is the corrosive nature of the gas. Results in eating away the engine components a little quickly.
Right.
But then if it is designed, because there are capability, European technology is capable of doing this.
See, initially we had lot of failures in waste to energy projects, but now a lot of companies are taking up with the latest technology. Few waste to energy projects are being developed, and we will wait and see how they perform.
I'm still not looking at solid waste. I'm saying very simple biomethanization of the liquid waste, the sewage waste and STP based generation. This is the quickest. These plants can give return on investment in about 5 to 7 years, and if they also come under the renewable portfolio.
Right.
So we have a multiple opportunity here in renewable. It's an opportunity of a lifetime that India has got.
Yes, we are very right, and everybody is realizing that. Everybody is realizing the potential, and therefore you see in last 3-4 years there is so much buzz is there for renewables. Absolutely. And I am sure, and that is why the government has also realized it. They thought that why can't we raise the target to 5 times.
Correct.
So all the targets for wind and solar have been increased by 5 times. Right. Once these are successful, I am sure the government is going to take up on a mission mode implementation of biogas plants, sewage treatment, municipal solid waste, and I think all the renewables are going to be developed in coming years, and that is what our country requires. That is what is the future, and that is what is going to happen.
Right. Now coming to hydro, sir, we didn't discuss all this in the portfolio, and we have seen all these years the 25 megawatt below has been the renewable, that has been recognized renewable energy. But it's very funny because the entire hydro does not have any carbon footprint.
Very right.
So therefore the whole portfolio is renewable, and now we have the ministries converging because there is a common minister. All the 3 ministries are working in tandem. I would say even coal, but like leaving coal, I would say power and MNRE, Minister of Power, MNRE, now almost like are like two different divisional heads working together. So why don't we put a head on declaring the whole hydro as renewable? Because this will change the game for us. It's a game changer. Because Bhakra produces electricity at 38 paisa per unit. Narmada gives at 58 paisa per unit. And I don't think anybody can produce lower cost power than these resources.
Right. You are very right. See, when the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy was created, hydro was part of conventional power.
Right.
Like with thermal and hydro were under Ministry of Power.
Right.
So then they categorized that below 5 megawatt will be considered as renewable energy. Subsequently, this was raised to 25 megawatt. And probably now you can think of putting complete hydro or up to maybe 100 megawatt initially as renewable power, although the hydro is a renewable.
Sir,
but in the portfolio, I fully agree.
Why do we do this? This is a very stupid thing, sir.
I fully agree with you.
As
a portfolio,
as
in the portfolio, yes, this comes under renewable
energy.
It is a renewable energy, so that your calculation for renewable energy in your portfolio should include hydro.
Because even earlier, even if the ministers were different, I didn't see any logic of blocking at 25 the renewable energy. Recognition of the whole hydro has to be renewables.
Right.
The hydro,
I fully agree.
Because if the Ministry of Power puts hydro renewable, but once you put, you are not recognizing in policy construct.
Correct. And if this gives any advantage to hydro, yes, that will be beneficial.
Because it will give. Sir, I tell you today, 10 years back, we had 26 to 27% share in installed capacity of hydro.
Right.
Today, that has gone down to 15%. So we have destroyed hydro. So this is the right time to give a fillip to it. Get interest for loans in hydro projects at lower cost and try to support this.
I fully agree. This has been in discussion for quite some time now, and probably maybe
we have a new government, we have an aggressive Prime Minister,
can look into it.
We have a strong ministry, and I think this is the first time we should push this agenda.
I agree with you. I fully agree with you. There is a case for considering this under renewable portfolio.
Lovely, sir. So one more point, sir. I come to know that there is the integrated power development scheme under discussion at the Ministry of Power, and I see some 30,000 crores worth of money will come into this. These are for rooftops that we discussed.
Okay.
And 24,000 crores are going to come from direct budgetary allocation. Now, this is the type of stuff that is coming, and this could be revolutionary, I see. You know, it starts with solar, but it is a revolutionary thing. You know, that means we can expect something unique in the current union budget if this happens. And our reliable sources have said that such information is going on. It's called IPDS, Integrated Power Development Schemes, under the Ministry of Power. You know, so this is happening.
Yes, I have heard about it, but I will not be able to comment on this.
Privy to some documents, but
definitely
this is a revolutionary. Revolutionary, because we are breaking on this ENFRA TV, this news, and this is wonderful if they do, because this will revolutionize the rooftop concept in the country. It is massive investment, sir. It is something like $6 billion worth of investment we are talking. This could be a game changer.
If you look at these targets and the total investment required, in power sector as well as in renewable will be around $250 billion in next 5 years.
Right.
If these targets, we are near achieving these targets. For renewable alone, the investment required will be around $150 billion.
Right.
And we will need to have our resources from all across, maybe bilateral, multilateral agencies, from green bonds, from banks, from financial institutions. And this is going to be a big challenge, I mean, in achieving these targets. Right. But going forward, probably the funds would start diverting from other channels, because once they find that the renewables are attractive proposition, they are viable proposition, I think the fund flow would be there.
Yeah, I'll come back again. The fundamental driver of investment will be a renewable purchase obligation. That is what we discussed, and it will go to the entire portfolio, because if you have an obligation, investing in renewable energy will look very attractive. And second is, as we rightly said, inertia research says that we need $4 trillion worth of investment by 2032 in the power sector for a 1200 gigawatt worth of installed capacity upheaval. And in this, almost we can say 50% would look to, if you add hydro, it will be 50% renewable portfolio, including all, and that means around half, minimum half, $2 trillion worth of investment. That is the massive scale of renewable energy that will come in, including solar, wind, hydro, and the rest, including bioenergy. And that is what, Popli Sahab, you are sitting on a leadership, and I think you are in a transformational phase in the country, and it is the right time. We have a leadership like you, and we look forward to you and MNRE doing a fantastic job, because this is the ministry that everybody is looking up to, and this is your department. People are looking up to the nodal agency, because if the nodal agencies integrate, they force the renewable policy obligation. I can assure you that investment will be driven into India straight away.
No, I fully agree with you, Dr. Iyer. We have, for going forward for renewable, we are going ahead with the Global Investors Meet in February, from 15th to 17th February,
right,
to showcase India as a new investment destination for renewables. And this is going to be a regular feature, maybe every annual or biannual.
And we look forward to have your think on the RPO conclave also of ENERTIA just before that, as a prelude on the 6th of February. 6th of February we are the RPO conclave, and we'll have Popli Sahab even in that conclave to give the wisdom or how the IREDA is thinking on these lines. It's a wonderful to have you, sir.
Thank you,
and
sir. Thank
we
you.
will again we'll come back in a few months to see how we progress from this discussion.
Thank you.
In the meantime, bye-bye, and we'll have another personality on my next show, on ENFRA show. Professor Iyer signing you off with K.S. Popli ji, Chairman Managing Director IREDA. Goodbye and good luck to all of you.
So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon seem inevitable. Christopher Reeve. 30th December 2010. Foundation ceremony of Gujarat's solar park. "12 months later, 28th January 2012. 214 megawatts of solar power commissioned at world's first multi-developer, multi-facility, multi-technology, multi-beneficiary solar park at Charanka village, District Patan, Gujarat. 19th April 2012. Gujarat dedicates 500 megawatt power generation capacity to the nation, as Asia's largest solar park is formally inaugurated in Gujarat.
We are doing this mainly to contribute in the war against global warming and climate change.
The story of Gujarat's solar park is a historic feat in itself. Visualized, planned, and swiftly implemented in record time of under a year, the most notable aspects were its execution and the political willingness to go the extra mile. A plethora of complexities had to be resolved before the park could see the light of day. Acquiring land, developing infrastructure, and handing over plots to individual developers had to be done simultaneously, while sensitively handling the issue of encroachment of land pockets by locals. Approach and internal roads had to be built. Reservoirs and systems for storing, treating, and distributing water had to be created. The project site fronted the desert of Kutch, and harsh weather conditions proved to be major constraints, with frequent flooding and the remoteness of the village adding to construction costs. Total quality management played a crucial part in achieving the success of the project, with a regularly monitored, web-based system specially developed to ensure the timely accessibility of both data and information. While 1,500 laborers diligently worked round the clock, developers were taken into confidence through periodic meetings where they were updated regarding the project's development and revisions at every stage. A team of experienced officials were available on-site 24/7 to promptly address clearance and approval issues. This helped to eliminate redundancies and reduce the duplication of efforts. Activities were completed within the scheduled time frame, as every member of the project worked steadfastly around bottlenecks and ensured that the project was commissioned within schedule. A win-win project for all segments, the solar park saw many far-reaching consequences. Uniquely integrating environment, infrastructure and social perspectives, the park led to vast areas of government wasteland being put to good use with gainful employment benefiting larger rural sections and communication networks and irrigation water flowing through villages.
This innovative approach will contribute to India's energy requirements and will create jobs and welfare without generating additional greenhouse gas emissions.
As a prime example of energy conservation, with rainwater harvesting, carbon emission reduction and groundwater recharge happening on a continual scale, the Gujarat Solar Park at Charanka bears testimony to one truth, that harnessing divine energies is the only way forward. And having the courage to go beyond one step today is the only way to a better tomorrow. Gujarat Solar Park at Charanka, partnering a journey of brilliance.